Didn't you hear me? You're fired. Sorry to say this after you've come all this way. Stunned, I could only stare as my manager, Jacob, repeated those words. Facing termination at the negotiation table, I was at a loss for words. Jacob snatched away the briefcase containing my presentation materials, almost shoving the termination letter at me, urging me to leave quickly. Understood. Then, please proceed with today's meeting just with you and Sarah. But it's okay. Regarding the meeting, don't you dare talk about it after being fired. Get going, now. As Jacob walked away with Sarah, I watched his retreating back. Unable to say what I wanted to, I was left standing there, dumbfounded. Little did he know, this meeting was about to spark a significant crisis. I'm Alex. I work as an event planner at a company which organizes events. I've been working here for 10 years now. I guess you could say I'm a mid-level employee. There was a significant reason behind my desire to join this company. Ever since I was young, I enjoyed entertaining people. I was always part of the organizing committee for cultural festivals and sports days at school. It involved a lot of work, and coordinating with everyone was challenging. There were those who preferred to slack off and others who just fooled around. There were times when discussions didn't progress, leading to wasted afternoons. Yet, there are many people who look forward to it. I want to entertain everybody who feels that way. With this determination, I took care of everything from budget management to pamphlet creation. Eventually, all events were a huge success. Watching everyone enjoy themselves gave me an immense sense of satisfaction. Then, one day, President Miller came to my high school for a lecture and said, "Events are about making people happy, by listening to their needs and creating ideas that enrich their lives. Seeing them smile is the most rewarding experience. Our company is dedicated to brainstorming such creative plans every day." I was struck by a bolt of lightning by his word. Exactly, that's it. I want a job where I can satisfy everyone, evoke emotions, and create smiles. That's the kind of work I want to do. His company specialized in planning events. Though I was uncertain about my career path, I no longer had any doubts. I wanted to work for his company. But would they hire a high school graduate? It was almost like taking a gamble. There's also the option of going to college and then looking for a job. That might be the safer bet. But I wanted to start working at that company right away. I studied desperately. It was an effort far beyond what I had put in for my high school entrance exams. Not just that, but I also attended various events and researched the event industry extensively. Perhaps my efforts paid off, as I managed to secure a position at the company. So, that's how I ended up here. Perhaps because it's my calling, I find my job incredibly enjoyable. I brainstorm event ideas and propose them to clients. While it's rare for ideas to be accepted in one go, I listen to their requests like, "Can it be done this way?" and make the necessary adjustments. Gradually shaping the plan, we prepared content and promoted it for the big day. Then, on the day, we worked to ensure everyone could enjoy the event. Despite the numerous challenges, what I loved most was the sense of accomplishment after successfully pulling off the event. However, even such a company has its troubles. Hey, what happened to the funding for that event we discussed before? Well, we can cover it alone, so we're proceeding as initially planned. That won't make the client happy. If we make this a big event, it'll bring in more requests in the future. Find some sponsors. But that's what? You can't do it. It's an order from your superior. I'll try to negotiate. That's my boss, Jacob. His personality is the complete opposite of mine, who prefers to proceed with caution. He's a difficult person who constantly presents us, his subordinates, with impossible tasks, all in the name of achieving results. Indeed, more funds would allow for a larger event, pleasing to the client. An event that exceeds expectations has the power to attract people. This is true for both the organizers and the participants. Because this time was good, let's rely on this company for future events. The possibility of them thinking this way increases. However, this client does not desire that. Proceeding as planned should be fine. But Jacob seems determined to make it even more extravagant, no matter what. This is a real problem. He seems obsessed with producing results. And such impossible tasks aren't just a one-time thing. He dismisses the proposals I submit, always saying things like, make it more extravagant, it should be bigger, or allocate more budget here. Of course, I do what I can within my capabilities. It's my job, after all, and giving it my all is a given. But not everything is passable. Jacob, that's impossible. We should proceed as we are now. Don't talk back, I'm your boss. You just need to follow through with the plan as told. And the conversation goes nowhere. Yet, proceeding in such a state would cause trouble both for our company and the client. Each time, I had to interrupt my work to revise and adjust a plan within a barely acceptable compromise, not as Jacob dictated. Then one day, I'll be working here from today. My name is Sarah Miller. Nice to meet you. A new employee joined us. This was welcome news. Having more employees means more ideas are born. In this job, ideas and individuality are crucial. Moreover, the newcomer, Sarah, was quite beautiful. Not with any ulterior motive, but having a beautiful person around really brightens up the place. Great, a pretty lady joining us is a breath of fresh air. Thank you. How about we celebrate your joining with a meal? I know a great French place, or would you prefer sushi? No, thank you, I'm not interested in that. Well, that was blunt. Jacob probably didn't expect to be dismissed so outright. Ignoring Jacob, who was taken aback, Sarah walked briskly towards me. I was flustered. But contrary to the scene with Jacob, Sarah greeted me politely. Looking forward to working with you from today. Oh. You're Alex, right? It's written on your name tag. I heard you're my mentor. Yes, that's right. I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. Indeed, I had been asked to be her mentor. So that's why she came straight to me. I was momentarily nervous. Please teach me about the work right away. I have some knowledge, but I'm completely clueless about how things are done here. Of course, let's start with the basics. Okay. Sarah was serious and quick to learn her job. Since she would ask questions whenever she didn't understand something, it was really helpful for me. It made teaching quite rewarding. Maybe it was because she asked and learned so well that I, as her mentor, felt I couldn't be outdone. All the knowledge and know-how I had acquired so far, I taught it all to Sarah. With this pace, she was bound to become an immediate asset. Damn, getting all cocky just because she's pretty. Acting all high and mighty with just a high school diploma. Apparently, Jacob can't stand that. I couldn't help but give a wry smile when I heard his blatant insult. But putting that aside, I continued to teach Sarah her job. 3 months passed. Whether it was due to our hard work, Sarah and I managed to secure a job planning an event for a major corporation. Though it was still at the negotiation stage. But if they liked what we presented, they would surely give us the job. For the upcoming meeting, we were tasked with creating presentation materials for our pitch. This included our past achievements, capabilities, and the required time frame. Working hard to write something that would make them think, we want to hire this company, occasionally getting ideas from Sarah as we went. Looking at our accomplishments laid out like this was quite gratifying. It was then when you snagged that big competition, huh? Jacob, I don't know how you did it, but that's impressive. Makes me proud as your boss. I wondered where he had heard about it. Jacob appeared, grinning as he continued. Mind if I join in on that meeting? What? What's the use of a boss if he doesn't join? Looking after my subordinates is part of my job, you know. That was certainly true, but this meeting was something Sarah and I had earned on our own. Glancing at Sarah, she seemed to share my feelings, her expression uncertain. It felt like he was pouring cold water on something we had worked hard for, but rejecting him seemed like it would lead to more trouble. After all, we're talking about Jacob here. All right, it's fine for you to join us. It's fine for you to join. What kind of way is that to speak to your boss? You should say, could you please join us? He was the one who asked out of the blue. This was turning into a hassle as expected. I was already feeling down, but who knows what would happen if I said, actually, I'd rather you didn't, now. Reluctantly, I rephrased it as Jacob wanted. Could you please join us? That's better. I'm looking forward to it. As Jacob walked away in high spirits, I sighed deeply once he was out of sight. This is definitely going to be more difficult than initially expected. Despite saying he would join the meeting, Jacob didn't help us at all. When I tried to get him to assist with the material preparation, he flatly refused, saying, I'm busy right now, so you handle it. And the same happened when I tried to discuss the presentation with him. I even humbled myself to at least ask for a review of the materials or a meeting to discuss the day's schedule. Review. There's no need for that. Just wing it, it'll work out somehow. With such a dismissive response, there was nothing left for me to do but back down. How are we supposed to go into a meeting like this? All the work we've put in so desperately. But no matter what I said, Jacob showed no interest in helping. In the end, Sarah and I were the only ones continuing to prepare for the meeting. And then, on the big day, Jacob, Sarah, and I took a taxi to the company. I was feeling down, but we had to make it a success, no matter what. Looking over, I noticed Jacob, who seemed unusually smug. I had a bad feeling about this. It was when we got out of the taxi at the company. That's right, Alex, you're fired. What? Didn't you hear? You're fired. Sorry to say this after you've come all this way. The dismissal letter was suddenly presented before me. I couldn't believe I was being fired. I knew he was up to something when he insisted on joining the meeting, but to prepare something like this, I couldn't help but sigh. Jacob just smirked. The termination letter fluttered as if urging me to take it quickly. Sarah looked stunned. Reluctantly accepting the letter, I spoke up. Understood. Then, I'll leave today's meeting to you guys. Alex. Since I'm fired, I can't participate in it, can I? Sorry, but I'm counting on you, Sarah. But then, since you are done working, you should head home right away. Oh, I'll cover the taxi fare for you on the way back, out of pity. A $50 bill was pulled out of a wallet. Its fluttering motion reminded me of the earlier dismissal letter. I refused it and said, Jacob, about the meeting. You're already fired. Don't meddle in this meeting. But this is important. Enough, just go. Cutting me off, Jacob stormed into the company. There was something I needed to say. Sarah glanced back and forth between me and Jacob before apologizing. I am sorry, I need to go, and hurried after Jacob. Will everything be okay? Thus, it began without me. It was our chance to pitch our company to President Taylor. Sarah and I had worked hard to prepare the presentation materials for this moment. However, Jacob froze the moment he saw the materials. What is this? I don't know any of this. In fact, I had significantly changed the content of the presentation at the last minute. We came up with various ideas and worked on them, but what I believed was most important for this company's work was passion, so I decided to make a bold change. Jacob didn't listen to me and went straight to it, but that's what I wanted to tell him. He must have been confused by all the unfamiliar content. Jacob turned pale and was at a loss for words. Moreover, it was impossible for him, who had hardly attended any meetings, to handle this. The result was a disaster. The presentation was postponed. After the meeting, Jacob and Sarah returned to the company to report the results. They were severely reprimanded by the higher-ups. Instead of feeling down, Jacob got angry. His anger was directed at Sarah, who hadn't provided much support for him during the presentation, even though she was present. "It's all your fault. I know you changed the documents on purpose to set me up. We didn't do anything like that. You can say whatever you want. I bet all those meetings were just to set me up, weren't they? Am I wrong?" "That's not true. Please stop making baseless accusations." "Then why didn't you tell me the presentation materials were changed?" "Alex tried to tell you. You just didn't listen and went straight to the meeting." "What? You're just a newcomer and you're talking back to your boss like that? You know better than to defy me. You're fired too." As Jacob and Sarah argued, Jacob's voice grew louder and louder. The noise reached the nearby rooms. A door opened and a person with a puzzled look appeared. "What's all this commotion about? I heard something about firing." "President Miller is sorry. I was just talking." "Aha." But it sounded more like shouting to me. "What have you done to my daughter?" Daughter? Apparently, Jacob didn't know Sarah was President Miller's daughter. His smirk quickly faded to a look of horror. I thought he would have realized it sooner given they shared the same last name, but maybe it was too common, or he just didn't notice. At least, he didn't expect Sarah to be the president's daughter. "Dad, he fired Alex." "What? You fired him without my permission?" "Well, there's a reason for that, you see. It's all his fault. He changed the presentation materials for the meeting." "It's because Jacob didn't attend the negotiation meetings. The change was last minute, but we had been discussing possibly making changes before that." "What?" "And Alex did try to tell you, but you fired him without listening, right?" Clearly at a disadvantage. Unable to counter Sarah's sound arguments, Jacob could only mumble incoherently. This was reminiscent of his behavior during the presentation. "Despite insisting on joining the meeting, you didn't help with the documents at all, and in the end, only we were working on them." "That's because I was busy. As a manager, I have lots of responsibilities." "Enough." President Miller's cold voice made Jacob flinch. He trembled like a scared deer, a far cry from his usual brashness. "In this job, it's important to come up with ideas that make people happy and enrich their lives, but above all, I believe it's crucial to be willing to listen to others." "That's true." "And how about you? You don't listen to anyone, only care about yourself. An employee who can't even engage in a proper conversation is not needed in our company." It was effectively a firing. Jacob, pale-faced, desperately pleaded with President Miller. "President Miller, I've learned my lesson from this incident. Please, anything but firing me." "Didn't you hear me? Sorry, but I need you to leave right away." This must be the result of not being willing to listen. Afterward, I was able to return to the company safely. There was a moment when I wondered what would become of me. It seems Sarah spoke to President Miller on my behalf. Apparently, Jacob's unilateral decision to fire me didn't have the authority to actually make it happen. The first task assigned to me upon my return was, well, starting off with a big task, a meeting with a major corporation. "President Miller has personally requested you to make up for the previous failure. let's give it our all. Yes, of course. This time is different. We've prepared the presentation materials thoroughly and with plenty of time to spare. Let's succeed this time. Yes, it was the presentation I couldn't participate in last time because I had been fired. President Taylor of the client company, having heard the circumstances, said, "Then, I want to hear your enthusiasm again." Given such an opportunity, we had no choice but to show what we could do. This time it will be okay. Sarah and I had thorough meetings, and our preparation for the presentation was perfect. We will definitely make it a success. And the result was, "That's great. Truly, well done. Congratulations." Sarah congratulated me with a smile for our success. The result was a success. It seems President Taylor was quite pleased as well. "I definitely want you guys to take on this project. I'm looking forward to your enthusiasm and dedication," he even said. "Since it's with a major corporation, the event will be on a large scale. This means managing finances, meetings, and setups will be challenging. I've been working here for 10 years, but this will be the first time handling an event this big. The pressure is enormous, but responding to this is our job. We must see it through to the end. Still, I was really saved by having you around. I might have lost to my nerves if I were alone. That's not true at all, but if I was able to support you, then I'm glad. How about we celebrate and also as a thank you, go out for a meal? Sorry, you're not interested in that sort of thing, right?" I blurted out the invitation before remembering her reaction wasn't great when she was asked on her first day. Feeling awkward, I was scratching my cheek when, contrary to my expectations, Sarah answered, "Yes, I'd love to." "What? Are you that surprised? Most women would refuse if asked out for a meal by someone they just met." "Oh, I see. That was the reason." "But that's not the only reason." "What do you mean?" "I've been interested in you, Alex, because you're always so serious about your work." Now that was truly a bombshell. "What?" And there, I decided to confess something too. "Actually, me too. Seeing your smile always cheers me up. Having you support me through the work." "Really? I know this is sudden, but would you go out with me?" "Well, planning dates is something I'm good at." "You don't need to be so work-focused." "Sure, with pleasure." Who would have thought it would turn out like this? Feeling a bit bashful, I asked her out to dinner again. Maybe French or something. The presentation went well, and work is going smoothly. I deeply realized that passion is the most important thing. Moving forward, I hope to have a good relationship with Sarah.